We've talked about structure, emotion, and clarity. Now we move into something deeper. The part of design that makes content memorable and meaningful. I'm talking about visual storytelling. If design is communication, storytelling is intention. It answers 3 questions. What am I trying to say? Who am I saying it to? What do I want them to feel or do next? Most people skip these questions and jump straight into software. Professionals don't. Professionals start with purpose. Storytelling in design isn't about writing stories in paragraphs. It's about shaping information in a way the viewers instantly understands. Before they read, before they analyze, before they consciously decide. Design works at that pre-verbal level. Now let's talk about storytelling and audience. Different audiences read visuals differently. A teenager scrolling TikTok decides in half a second whether a video feels relevant. A customer scanning a flyer decides whether to trust the brand before reading a single sentence. A board member flipping through a corporate report decides if the organization feels competent and credible. These decisions are visual first. This is why storytelling in design is both creative and strategic. Now let's talk about storytelling and emotion. All stories involve emotion, even in serious or corporate contexts. Emotion doesn't always mean dramatic. Emotion can mean clarity, confidence, warmth, urgency, safety, excitement, trust. Think about the playful personality of a children's brand, the seriousness of a healthcare report, the sharp confidence of a tech launch, the warmth of a community fundraising poster, the urgency of a last day sale banner. Same medium, but different emotional stories. Think about a design you saw recently that made you stop or think for a moment. What emotion did they use to catch your attention? Now let's look at storytelling and context. Context changes how visual works. On social media, the context is rapid attention. On websites, the context is orientation and clarity. On packaging, the context is persuasion at the point of purchase. In corporate communications, the context is credibility and understanding. In fundraising, the context is empathy and urgency, while in recruitment, the context is aspiration and trust. Design adapts its storytelling to context, not the other way around. We should also talk about storytelling and message hierarchy. Storytelling also determines what gets emphasis. If the goal is awareness, the story highlights visibility through headline, color, strong visual, big message. If the goal is education, the story highlights clarity through hierarchy, spacing, diagrams, supporting texts. If the goal is persuasion, the story highlights value, proof, and next steps. If the goal is action, the story highlights urgency and simplicity. When you know the story, you know what needs to be loud and what needs to be quiet. I'd like to also touch on storytelling and branding. Brands tell consistent stories visually, even without text. Apple tells a story of simplicity and elegance. Nike tells a story of ambition and improvement. Non-profits often tell stories of change, empathy, and community, while corporate organizations tell stories of stability and competence. Good branding is storytelling repeated until it becomes identity. Canva makes this surprisingly accessible, and it achieves this through brand kits, template series, reusable layouts, and consistent color, typography, tone match. Repetition builds recognition. Recognition builds trust. Trust unlocks action. Another thing to look at is storytelling and social content. On social platforms, storytelling must be immediate. A thumbnail needs to tell the viewer, what is this video about, and is it worth my time? A carousel needs to tell a story slide by slide. A reel or TikTok needs to tell a story in 2 seconds visually, even before audio or captions even register. Creators who understand visual storytelling grow faster because their content feels intentional. What about storytelling in the context of corporate and communication? In business and corporate environments, storytelling is strategic. A presentation pitch needs to guide the viewer through logic and emotion. A newsletter needs to structure information clearly. A report needs to turn data into insights and insights into narrative. A recruitment campaign needs to paint a picture of future belonging and purpose. These environments use storytelling to influence decisions at the leadership level. Now, take 5 minutes to think about something you need to communicate in your own work, whether it's big or small. If you had to visualize it as a story, what would the audience need to feel? Do they need to feel informed, reassured, excited, inspired, curious, or confident? Once you answer that, you are already designing at a higher level. Now let's bring it together. Here is the simple truth. People don't just consume information, they connect with stories. Design is storytelling in a visual language. When you combine structure, which is guided by design principles, emotion, which is reflected through color and tone, voice, which is connected via typography, and intention via storytelling, you create communication that resonates, not just designs on Canva. In this video, you've learned how visual communicates meaning, emotion, and purpose long before text or logic arrives. This is the heart of design. In the next module, we are moving from why design works to how to design in Canva. You will learn how to navigate the workspace, understand templates, organize elements, and begin creating your first designs more intentionally.